The whole country has been deeply moved by the heartbreaking images we've seen over the past few days. And it is absolutely right that Britain should fulfil its moral responsibility to help those refugees, just as we've done so proudly throughout our history. But in doing so, we must use our head and our heart by pursuing a comprehensive approach that tackles the causes of the problem as well as the consequences. That means helping to stabilise countries where the refugees are coming from, seeking a solution to the crisis in Syria, pushing for the formation of a new unity government in Libya, busting the criminal gangs who are profiting from this human tragedy, and playing our part in saving lives in the Mediterranean, where our Royal Navy has now rescued over 6,700 people. Mr. Speaker, Britain is doing and will continue to do all of these things. We're using our aid budget to alleviate poverty and suffering in the countries from which these people are coming. We're the only major country in the world that has kept our promise to spend 0.7% of our GDP on aid. We are already the second largest bilateral donor of aid to the Syrian conflict, including providing over 18 million food rations, giving 1.6 million access to clean water, and providing education to 250,000 children. And last week we announced a further £100 million, taking our total contribution to over £1 billion. That is the UK's largest ever response to a humanitarian crisis. £60 million of this additional funding will go to help Syrians still in Syria. The rest will go to neighbouring countries, to Turkey, to Jordan, to Lebanon, where Syrian refugees now account for 1/4 of the population. And over half of this new funding will support children, with a particular priority on those who've been orphaned or separated from their families. Mr. Speaker, no other European country has come close to this level of support. Without Britain's aid to these camps, the numbers attempting the dangerous journey to Europe would be very much higher. And as my right honourable friend the Chancellor said yesterday, we'll now go much further in the spending review, significantly reshaping the way we use our aid budget to serve our national interest. We will invest even more in tackling the causes of the crisis in the Middle East and North Africa, and we'll hold much larger sums in reserve to respond to acute humanitarian crises as they happen. Turning to the question of refugees, Britain already works with the UN to deliver resettlement programmes, and we will accept thousands more under these existing schemes. We've already provided sanctuary to more than 5,000 Syrians in Britain and have introduced a specific resettlement scheme alongside those we already have to help those Syrian refugees particularly at risk. But given the scale of the crisis and the suffering of the Syrian people, it is right that we should do much more. So, Mr. Speaker, we are proposing that Britain should resettle up to 20,000 Syrian refugees over the rest of this Parliament. In doing so, we'll continue to show the world that this country is a country of extraordinary compassion, always standing up for our values and helping those in need.